Leaping right into things, could you give us a brief idea of your history working on Minecraft and the general gist of what the Wild update is bringing to the game?
Okay, yes. So if we start with the Wild update, I would say that the Wild update have like two main focuses. So one is, to deepen the mystery of Minecraft, which is, with the Warden and the Deep Dark and like with the ancient cities in the Deep Dark. And we hope the players will be like, who lived in these ancient cities, who built them, what does all these things mean? And that can inspire to storytelling. And of course, these features also add like a lot of adventure, a scariness challenge, which is really exciting for many players. And of course, lots of like the Skulk Block family is really interesting for tech players. And then the other side of the Wild update is more like the nature and the wilderness. So we, for example, have the new Mangrove swamp biome. We have frogs, the derpy frogs. We have Allays, and boats with chest, which is really useful when you explore the world and bring back things with you. So those are like the two main parts of the Wild update. For me, I played it for maybe 12 years, and it's been my favorite game since I started to play. And then I worked on it for almost 6 years as a designer and programmer, and now a game director. So it's like it's my biggest hobby and my job.
For me, my journey started by a friend telling me about Minecraft. I opened the game and started a new world. I spawned on a mountain with no trees. I spent like a minute trying to break stone with my fist. Nothing dropped, and I closed this game, said this is a stupid game and I'm never going to play it again. That's my first experience with Minecraft. After that, I played with a friend, and together with like the friendship and learning together and developing together, that was made it so much more amazing for me, and it became my favorite game. And yeah, I joined Mojang 2.5 years ago. It's been a crazy ride moving into Sweden and meeting all these
And
people
then the
that I used to
pandemic
meet.
started
The
like,
pandemic,
what was
three
it, two
months
weeks
after I
after you,
moved.
3 months you moved here? That wasn't
Yes,
fun.
it's been a crazy, crazy ride, but I'm really happy to be able to contribute back to something that has been really meaningful for me, and working with so many amazing people that's been my like superstars before. So it's really exciting.
Coming from Caves and Cliffs, what were some of the general development goals when working on the Wild? And do you find this to be an expansion of what was started with that update?
Um, I mean, of course, like the Deep Dark package was originally part of Caves and Cliffs, but then we felt in order to really, make it good quality, which is important for us, we wanted more time, so therefore we moved it into the Wild update. And quality is it's something we always try to have focus on because we have a very long-term perspective on Minecraft. Like we want to keep evolve it for 50 years or more, or like for a lifetime, as we often say. And therefore, it's so important for us to focus on long-term quality to ensure long-term player delight. Um, but otherwise, I think like we were really like we really well wanted to add, of course, the mob vote winner, the Allay, and then we were so excited also to be able to add the things from like the mangrove swamp and the frogs and the boat with chest, which actually is from a biome vote we had many years ago. So it's not the winner; it ended up on second place, but we saw that so many players were excited about it, so we were very happy to be able to add something that players have been asking for a long time.
It's always fantastic to see the overworld get some additions. Could you tell us a bit more about the Deep Dark and the Mangrove swamp biomes?
Nir, do you want to start with Deep
Sure.
Dark?
Yeah, sure. So Deep Dark is a deep and dark, scary biome that's gonna show up mainly in the deepest parts of the world.
Mm.
And in it you can find the Skulk family of blocks, which is the Skulk Catalyst and the Skulk Sensor, and sort of very interesting blocks that sort of interact with XP and interact with vibration and sort of events that happen around them. And also you can find, of course, the ancient cities, which is a very big new structure that you can find that is really interesting, filled with mysteries, filled with a lot of different structures and riddles that you can sort of play around with, and filled with this whole new sneaking kind of play style that's really a new thing for the game, together with the warden and everything around that.
And then we have the mangrove swamp, which I think is, I really love it. So, it's lots of mangrove trees with this that have these, huge mangrove roots. It's always fun to Minecraftify things from the real world. So, for example, with mangrove, then, okay, the roots are a big deal. Let's make them out of multiple blocks. So you as a player almost feel like tiny under all these big roots. I think that adds a really nice feeling and it's really good for immersion. And then, of course, I love like that comes with a new wood type. It's great for us builders. It comes with mud and like mud bricks, which also is really good for building. And clay renewability. Shouldn't forget the clay renewability. So with mud, you can actually get renewable clay. And clay is something that's been quite expensive in survival before, but it's really nice to use, like to get bricks, terracotta, glazed terracotta. So that's something, for example, me as a player is really excited about because I really enjoy building it, and I think many players will like it too.
So when it comes to the mud items, I believe there's a mud block and then a more fancy mud block. What type of housing could you make using these mud blocks?
I mean, it's really up to the player, but you can make mud houses. Basically, dig up the mud in the mangrove swamps and build mud houses with them. I don't know how stable they're gonna be, but it's gonna be really nice and sort of a different variant of the classic dirt house. And if you want, you can spend a bit more time and make mud bricks. And then they really, I think, bring a whole new look to Minecraft that you didn't really have before with those houses. And I'm really excited to see how player use them.
One of the new mobs is the Warden. I understand this one is quite a challenge. Could you take us through the setup for how one will come across this being, alongside a possible strategy for handling it?
Sure. Yes. I think I'm sure our players are going to find better strategies to deal with it over time, which is part of the cool thing about exploring this update. But the basics of it is that you find an ancient city or a deep dark, and the sort of movements and noise and vibration you make in the environment, which is walking, jumping, taking damage, breaking blocks, eating, so many of these actions create vibration. That's going to trigger a skulk sensor that might pass that trigger to a skulk shrieker in the area. And if you do that too often, that's going to summon a warden there to try to silence you in some way, and then it's up to you to decide how to deal with it. But I think the sort of most fun way that we sort of seen in playtesting is this sort of sneaking mechanic. So if you shift, you're going to make a lot less vibrations. Most of the actions you make will not make vibrations anymore. And also, if you walk on wool or carpet, it also will stop those vibrations from happening. So those two mechanics, I think, is something the players can really play around with and see how they can still move around the city, get the loot from chests without aggroing the warden, basically.
The other two mobs seem somewhat friendlier. Could you tell us a bit about the Allay, which was the mob vote, and also the Frog, which I believe has a bit of a double offering to it?
You want to talk about the frogs first?
Yeah, I can talk about the frogs. So, well, they're charming and derpy, and I would say they have like two main systems that also are connected with each other. So one of them is that they are cold-blooded, and we wanted to like interpret a mob being cold-blooded in a Minecrafty way. So the way we do it in Minecraft is that when a tadpole grow up, it will pick a variant depending on the temperature of the biome. So we have three different variants, like we have a cold frog, a temperate frog, and a warm frog. And then, yeah, mentioned the tadpoles is also, that's quite unique that the a mob has a baby that isn't just a tiny version of the mob, it's actually tadpole. They are really cute, and you can scoop the tadpoles up and bring them with you. So then you can go on, an adventure with your tadpole to find another biome with another temperature to get another frog variant. So that is one of these adventures players can go on if they want to. And then you can also get frog light blocks from the frogs. So this is also like a kind of fun goal to have. If you manage to get a frog to eat a tiny magma cube, it will drop a frog light, and then each variant has a different kind of frog light. So those are really like reward blocks, I would say. They are like pretty decorative and light sources, and kind of tricky to get.
It's cool. The Allay is this sort of fantasy, weird, wispy little creature that flies around. It's very magical, and you're gonna be able to find it in pillager outposts and pillager mansions, and they're sort of locked there for some reason in those cages, and it's up to the player to sort of come in and save them and fight the mobs and get them out of there. And when you do that, if you give the Allay an item, it's going to follow you and really sort of chirp and be happy around you and collect that item and bring it back to the player. So you can have sort of a companion that helps you collect things around you when you go on adventures, and also you can bring them back home and create sort of like maybe like a sorting system, because the Allay really likes note blocks. So if they play a note block next to it, they're gonna bring the item to the note block instead of the player. They like music even more than they like the player, so they're gonna bring the items there. And with just a bit of redstone and making those notes make cool music, you're going to be able to make a bunch of Allays, sort of bring different items, collect them, and put them in the right places.
From what I understand, the community was a bit mixed on the note with the Fireflies not being part of this update. Is this something the team is interested in adding down the road?
So what we have said is that we put it in our ideas library, and if we believe that yes, this is going to add a lot of value, then we can add it, but we can't like promise that at this point. But it is in our ideas library, so it's not like we just throw it away because yes, so maybe.
All right. For those looking to revisit Minecraft with the Wild update, what aspect of this update do you feel will be most appealing to players wanting something that really mixes things up?
Oh, I think, yeah. So Deep Dark is a big one of this. Sorry, I just took a bit of sugar because it's the end of the day, I'm getting tired. Deep Dark is a big one of this, and I think for people who've been sort of spent a long time with the game and they feel like maybe the challenges are sort of, they know them already and they know how to deal with them, Deep Dark is a whole new challenge in a totally different sort of axis than before. Getting the best gear, the best enchantments, that's not necessarily going to save you. It's more about looking around you at the environment, learning from it, looking at the different locations, the sensors, and really learning the way the Warden works and how to play around it. That's what's going to really let you deal with this challenge. So I think that's a huge change that people are really going to enjoy.
All right. Lastly, I would like to leave a spot for you to say anything or go over anything I might have missed during the interview.
I mean, I think it's nice to mention the bow switch chests. So those like are maybe not like the most sparkling feature, but they are so useful. Like, when you are out exploring and you gather lots of materials, and if you go with a boat and have a chest in it, you kind of have double. You can bring the double amount of things with you. That's quite huge. So I think that adds so much quality of life, and something like players actually going to use a lot. So that's a feature I'm really excited about.
All right. Thank you.